This year, control of the Senate may rest in the hands of whomever wins the open seat in Wisconsin. It's a seat Democrats have controlled for more than 50 years, and the last Republican to hold it, Joseph McCarthy. This year, a four-term Wisconsin governor and Bush cabinet secretary Tommy Thompson hopes to be the man who swings the Senate back to the Republicans. Joining us is the Democratic candidate for Senate in Wisconsin, Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin. Congresswoman, thanks for joining me. I'm
delighted to be here.
I want to get right to this issue of tax fairness. I know you introduced the Buffett rule in the House, and how is that issue playing in your state, and obviously how is that playing with former Governor Thompson?
Right. Well, first of all, I have to say that the Republican primary voters gave Wisconsin voters a clear choice for November 6th. And tax fairness is one of the key issues. As you said, I introduced the Buffett rule. And what that is about is saying that anybody who makes over $1 million a year should have to pay at least the same rate as hardworking middle-class Wisconsin families. People think it's fundamentally unfair that millionaires are paying at much lower rates. Tommy Thompson, on the other hand, has closely associated himself with the Romney-Ryan plan. We could even call it the Romney-Ryan-Thompson plan now. He's so closely associated with it. What that would do is extend the Bush tax cuts for the very wealthiest 2%, people like himself, incredibly large new tax breaks. This is at a time when we're supposed to be tackling the deficit. I mean, it's absurd. And how would they pay for those new tax cuts for the very wealthy? Well, they'd raise middle-class tax cuts and those on struggling people and cut at the very investments we need to grow our economy. So there's a clear contrast on taxes.
So speaking of taxes and individual taxes, Governor Romney obviously has not wanted to talk much about his own taxes. And in your race, Tommy Thompson hasn't wanted to talk much about his taxes. I've got a little bit of sound I want to play for you, and then we'll talk about it.
When I was governor and I was employed as the people of the state of Wisconsin, I released my tax returns. But I've been in the business world, and the question is, am I going to release my tax returns? The answer is no. No. The answer is no. What part don't you understand?
So, N-O, what part don't you understand? Tommy Thompson not going to release his taxes. I can't imagine that's playing well with voters.
It isn't. I'll tell you, I released my taxes for 10 years several months ago, and I issued a challenge to all the Republican candidates in the primary field, do the same. I'm very disappointed. And the reason I think it's relevant is this tax rate issue, this fundamental fairness issue. We know from Tommy Thompson's financial disclosures that he's now a millionaire after working for the past dozen years, representing folks in Washington, D.C., big pharma, health insurance industry, et cetera. But he's proposing massive tax cuts for the very wealthiest 2%. I want him to answer the question, what rate is he paying at? I want him to disclose, because if he's talking about new tax plans, we want to know how it's going to impact him, just as much as American citizens want to know how it's going to impact them, too.
Right. Well, when we're seeing that obviously also play out when it comes to Governor Romney's taxes. I want to switch gears a little bit. You've been targeted by Karl Rove's Crossroads Group. Talk to me a little bit about the outside money that's being spent against you and affecting your race.
Well, first of all, I hope that Wisconsinites are now asking themselves, what is it that the Koch brothers, that Karl Rove are doing in Wisconsin? They're trying to influence the outcome of a U.S. Senate race. And it comes down to who are you fighting for? Voters in Wisconsin are going to go to the polls November 6th, and they're going to be saying, who's fighting for jobs? Who's fighting for growing our economy, growing our middle class? That's what I've been fighting for. But I apparently, we find that this is threatening to some big, powerful, moneyed interests in Washington, D.C. So they're coming in. They're coming to Thompson's side. The question is, who are you for?
Right. Well, it's a question I think we're going to be talking about all the way to November, and certainly with some of the tax policies we've been hearing about is not necessarily going to benefit the middle class. Congresswoman Tammy Baldwin, thanks for joining me. And we'll be right back.